After sticking with my black Apple fine woven case for 5 months now, I may have finally found the one that's going to be replacing it. And you might be interested in this too, especially if you have the titanium black iPhone 15 Pro. Now this video is not sponsored. Benks just sent me these cases for my honest opinion, and that's what you're going to get. So last year, Benks sent me 2 cases. They sent me the Mag Clap Armor Pro case for the iPhone 15 Pro, and they sent me the Mag Clap Armor Air case for the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. Now these are 2 Kevlar cases in 2 different styles. While I like the Armor Pro, the one that got me really excited was the Armor Air for the S23 Ultra, and I wish that Benks had sent me the Armor Air for the iPhone 15 Pro. Well, it's a few months later, and they have, but they've sent me something even better. This is the Montage for the iPhone 15 Pro. It's a very unique looking case in the Kevlar case market, and I think it looks even better than the plain Armor Air from last year. Now let's have a look at the design differences. I'm substituting the Armor Pro for the Armor Air, but looks wise they're quite similar. The most obvious difference is the Kevlar fibre pattern. This is a very ingenious answer to the question of how to make a Kevlar case stand out amongst the myriad of aramid cases we have out there in the market. I can see 3 different Kevlar densities placed in a patchwork pattern on the back, and these different densities extend to the sides of the case as well. The seams between the patches can be felt, and some may not like that, but personally, I think this adds to the authenticity of the materials. The overall feel of this case is luxurious, and as I mentioned before, hardly adds any size at all to the phone. The most pleasurable thing to do is to pull it out of my trouser pocket with a pinch grip like this, without feeling like I'm trying to retrieve a sandwich. With this case, I feel like I'm using a high-tech device and not a bar of soap or something. The texture is nice and soft. When holding the phone, the grip is amazingly secure and never feel like I'm gonna drop this. Speaking of which, it's also durable because I once dropped this in the gym when I was changing because it fell out of my trouser pocket, and there's absolutely no hint of damage whatsoever on the case. The camera bump is just as protected as last year's model, as in the case on all Benks cases. They really don't want you breaking your camera. This year, however, the camera bump is matte black instead of gunmetal grey, and I think this is a wise choice. It turns the case into a real stunner. Also this year, the Benks logo is embossed into the camera bump, adding another level of design and workmanship. This would have cost a lot more to do than just the printed logo from last year, so they've spent more money to make a nicer case for us. If last year's case was all about luxury, this year's case is all about stealth and mystery, and just a better matching the aesthetic of my black titanium iPhone. Now on the bottom we have the first controversial aspect. It's going to divide opinion, and that's the design by Benks printed in gold letters. Now usually I would absolutely hate this kind of branding, but compared to the plain Armor Pro, I actually don't mind it. It does add a little bit of spot color to an otherwise totally black case, even though it's meaningless. I mean, it's a Benks case, so it's designed by Benks, right? Maybe they could have left this out completely. Here's a little mock-up of how it would have looked without the design by Benks at all. And it does make it a little bit plainer. Also, they could have just printed the word Benks, which is kind of stylized in a logo form, and that would have also looked good if it just left out the designed by words. Or better yet, Benks is a Chinese company, so why not print designed by Benks in Mandarin Chinese? That way English speakers wouldn't immediately know what it says, and it would look kind of cool too, because, you know, the Mandarin letters look kind of cool. It would have looked like this a bit. Or maybe even the Kevlar logo, because, you know, Benks is the only manufacturer I know that actually licenses the name Kevlar from DuPont, who makes the thing. All of the other case manufacturers say aramid, so they could have showed that off probably by putting Kevlar on the back. Now looking at the sides, as I mentioned, the patchwork pattern continues from back, and you have cutouts on either side for the buttons. Now this is where having the titanium black iPhone is even more of a benefit, because the black titanium sides match perfectly with the Kevlar. And of course, you're using actual phone buttons. They're as clicky and tactile as they're ever going to be. The top of the case has stress relief cutouts, which are required for Kevlar, and again the patchwork pattern is evident. On the bottom, we have accurate cutouts for the speaker, mic and USB port. These all line up perfectly, which is more than I can say for the case I bought from Apple for twice the price of this one. On the back edge is a 45-degree bevel, which calms the harshness of the case in your hands a bit, and is yet another nice design detail. I kind of wish the bevel was on the front as well, but maybe this wasn't possible due to the thinness of the material here. Now this brings me to the inside of the case, which is the only complaint I have about it really, and is the same as the Armor Pro and literally all aramid cases I've seen so far, and this is a lack of any fabric on the inside to immobilize dust. As you can see, after using this case for a solid week, some dust has gotten in there which can potentially scratch the phone. Now the iPhone is made from glass, which is quite hard and should resist these specks of fluff, but if you live in a dusty part of the world, I would be quite worried about getting dust in there. The text on the inside is gold, and this looks pretty good, even though no one's really going to see inside here while you're using it. The big circle indicates a MagSafe ring, and it works amazingly well on this case, especially considering how thin this case is. Like, it's amazing how they fit such strong magnets into this thin case. The inside is only a single density of Kevlar, but if you look closely at the inside of the rim, you can see where the montage patches fold over. The workmanship here is impressive, as the fold line is totally even all the way around. Now, looking at the fit of the case on the phone, it goes on nice and easily with a firm, reassuring click. Once it's on there, the looks are second to none. I can't go on enough about how impressed I am with the looks of this case. It's definitely a look I like. It matches all of the other tech I own, such as my carbon fiber tripod and even non-composite stuff like my headphones, keyboard, speakers, cameras, and so on. If you like your stuff having a consistent look, then you're definitely going to like to add this case to your collection. It's a little more tricky to take off, but I think it's because of my fear of breaking it. Because it's so thin, it just feels like it should break. But I think that fear is unfounded though. This thing is pretty strong despite how thin it is. Now, one last thing I want to mention is that this case makes me feel like I want to have a screen protector because of how the lip protrudes ever so slightly above the screen. Now, this is so in order to protect it. It's not uncomfortable by any means, but a screen protector would raise the screen over the level of the lip, and that would give you a nice smooth surface from edge to edge, which I think would feel awesome. Let's just talk about why I've grown to like Kevlar cases so much. There are basically 3 reasons that people buy Kevlar cases. Number 1 is definitely the looks. Now, Kevlar is most known for being used in bulletproof vests because it's really strong and really light. It looks a lot like carbon fiber, which is used in loads of high-end products from sports cars to performance bicycles. And it is because of this association that anything now that you make with composite fibers is associated with performance, quality, and durability. Which brings me to number 2, the actual durability. To use Kevlar as a protective cover on expensive electronic devices like the iPhones is a no-brainer just because of how strong and how durable it is. The high strength enables cases to be made which are ultra thin and still offer protection from drops while adding the least bulk possible. And thirdly is the feel. Now, because Kevlar cases can be made so thin, it hardly adds any bulk at all to the phone. It feels more like a skin than anything else. And I really appreciate that because one of the reasons I bought the iPhone 15 Pro instead of 15 Pro Max is because I really wanted a smaller phone. Now, if I went ahead and put some huge bulky case on this phone, that would defeat the entire purpose of it. So if you're like me and you like all these 3 reasons, then the only obstacle to a case like this is going to be the price. And this is where Benks has come up trumps because they've managed to make a high quality case like this for less than the cost of even the cheapest plastic case from the Apple Store, thereby bringing the looks and durability of Kevlar to the masses. So that's it for the Benks Montage. I think this is the case that's going to be replacing my fine woven, which I have enjoyed for the past 5 months and is still an awesome case and still looks fine. But this one just has a level of class and quality above and beyond what that fine woven case is. Not only that, but it is actually even thinner and lighter and fits in my hand better than the iPhone 15 Pro fine woven case. Like, one of the reasons I had the fine woven case for so long because it was the most minimal case that I could find, and well, this one beats that while looking amazing. So thanks Benks for sending me this. I'm going to keep using this one. If you want to pick this up, I've got the links down below, which I don't get any money or any commission from, by the way. So if you want to help me out and help out this channel, the best you can do for me is to hit like and also subscribe for future videos like this. I've got another Benks case coming up, so if you want to see that, make sure to subscribe. Bye for now.